folks. Let's get going. I see Council Driscoll here. Councilor, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Anyway.
Excellent. Okay. We have a couple of items. Is Chief Mann around?
He is not on the list unless he is calling user 2, which he could very well be.
Council, I'm gonna text him right now. I'll text the chief. You may want to start with Chief Cecil because I see him on the line.
We will do that. Is that Evans?
Yes, sir. I'll text Chief Mons right now.
All right. Thank you. Chief Cecil?
Yep, I'm here.
Let's get going with your.
Okay. I think the first one that's on your list is the police department's pastors, chaplains, police officer chaplains. Chief Buckner wants to go. In the past, we've had 2 on contract. The chief wants to go with 3. He wants Pastor Jaime to be kind of overseeing the other 2. So we would have 3 of them. 2 of them would be paid $7,500, and Pastor Jaime, as the overseer, would be paid $10,000. So it would be $25,000, not to exceed. As you probably already know, they offer assistance to us with officer-involved shootings, grief counseling, anytime we need them for ceremonies, award ceremonies, graduation ceremonies, and just counseling of any kind, really, throughout the year.
Okay. Council Driscoll, do you have any question on this?
No, I'm good, Councilor Majuk. That makes sense to me, I think.
Okay. So Pastor Jaime and who else? Chief Cecil?
It would be Pastor Jaime. It would be Pastor Lateef Johnson Kinsey.
Oh, okay.
And also Pastor Evelyn Pizarro.
Now I'm familiar with a couple of them here, but do they live in the city, Chief Cecil?
That's a great question. I'm almost positive Pastor Jaime does. I myself am not familiar with the other 2. So I can't really answer that question. I don't know if Chief Buckner's on here yet. He was already on WebEx, but I'm not familiar if they are.
I believe they do, Councilor. I'm familiar. I know at least Pastor Johnson Kinsey does. He lives near me on the east side. Okay. And I believe the other one does, but I'm not 100% confident, but I believe she does as well.
Okay. The reason I asked that, I think it's important to have stuff like this, but at the same time, this is money that the taxpayers are paying, and I would prefer that they go to people that live in this city, and you know that has been the fight that we have been very vocal about, and I think it's good to put where our mouth, to put our money where our mouth is. So you check for me before we, for the next vote, to make sure that they are folks that actually live in the city.
Yeah, I absolutely will. I will check on that and get back to you, almost instantly.
Okay. So it's a total of 7,000 for.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So I see it. Okay. I got it. Thank you. I got what I was asking for. I saw it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Let's move to the other item.
Okay, so the second item is a wellness app. It's called Cortico Wellness App. A lot of the police departments across the country are buying into this app. It costs $35,000 for the year. One of the pillars of 21st century policing is the wellness of the officers. We always work very hard from the neck down, but we don't do much for them from the neck up, even though they experience trauma. Some studies show that they experience 188 trauma incidents throughout their career, when most of the general public see one or two of them. So that stuff takes a toll. What this app does allow for us to put our peer support on there, therapists on there, chaplains on there. There's all kinds of assistance for alcohol abuse, critical incidents, emotional health, family support, marriage counseling, all these things that officers experience because of the job that they have. It's all on one app. It's anonymous. They can tap into it and get help. We're not so concerned about whether we don't want to track what they're doing on it. We just want them to get the help. But one thing that is tracked is how often it's being used. So we will be able to, at the end of the year, find out whether it's been valuable based on just the fact that just that one piece of data, whether it's being used by the officers themselves. At $35,000, it also is free. And I think this is an important distinction. It also comes free to all the spouses of the officers as well, because many of them experience things at home and are curious about why the officer's going through certain things, and they can tap into this app as well. So that comes free of charge to all the spouses. I can't even go through, there's 4 pages of things that this app is loaded up with that the officers can tap into and get immediate assistance.
Councilor Driscoll?
Yes. So you said that's 35,000 is the budget on it?
Exactly. Yep, 35,000.
And you'll be monitoring to see how much use it gets?
We will, without a doubt. Certainly, we don't want it to be there if it's not of any use. So we will definitely do an audit at the end of the year to find out who's using it. Well, I don't want to say who's using it because it's anonymous, but we will do an audit to see how often it's being used.
So is this, have you seen other municipalities that have similar apps? Is this based on another program that we're looking to?
It is based on, yeah. So when I started to research wellness throughout the country, I started to see very large departments with chiefs of police parading this app out. It's everywhere from Hawaii right into New York. It is all across the country. And I'm not trying to be a salesman for it, but it just comes with so many different things, including where officers can look at YouTubes from doctors who specialize in military and police and the trauma they go through. They can access 5-minute snippets on breathing techniques after they come off a hot call, right up to, again, anger management, marital, financial access, or financial assistance. So the answer to your question is, yeah, the reason we keyed on this one is because it wasn't just being used by other departments, but chiefs of police had paragraphs where they were talking about this app and what it's done for their department after having used it. And again, they're showing less folks going out for sickness. They're showing less folks coming out with PTSD. They're showing less folks having all kinds of other things that were occurring before they tapped into this app. And that's really what sold us on it, is other departments using it.
Great. And Chief, would this be, just for my clarity, is this the kind of thing that they get done with the shift and they tap into? Or I've heard that a lot of the data points to a lot of the obstacles officers face is having very little downtime or breathing room between, going from one call to the next. So if one call is particularly stressful or traumatic and then they have to run to another, it's very taxing on the officers to do stuff like that. Would this app be utilized between calls, or would it be an end of the day kind of thing, like an off duty or while on duty app, where we imagine it gets used more?
We hope that it's going to be. That's a great question, Counselor, because that's exactly what's occurring out there. The trauma that they see on a call with a dead baby, for instance, they have no chance to recover before they go to the next call. So we're hoping this app gets used in between calls. Again, there's a lot of things in there, whether it's a breathing technique you can use to calm yourself back down, or if you are going through some type of crisis because you just had 3 hot calls and you don't know what to do, you can get on this app. It's going to be on their own phones, and you can plug in, look at an array of therapists that are all going to be vetted to take our health insurance, and possibly just do some type of therapist, virtual phone therapy right there on the phone in between calls. Put yourself out and take care of what's going on right there. So to answer your question, the short answer is we hope it's used both if they're going through a crisis during the job or when they get done with their shift. We hope it's used anytime they think they need to use it.
Wow, that's great. What's the name of the app again, Chief Cecil?
It's called Cordico, Cordico, Cordico Wellness.
Okay. And do you have like an anecdotal one sheet to show? Is there a lot of data showing this? I mean, I'm just merely interested, I think I would definitely advance the item. It sounds like something I'd be, very supportive of, but I'm just curious anecdotally if there's, any data out there about, when this is used, and do you have any plan to try to encourage officers to use it? I mean, do you think, I know a lot of times the challenge with therapy type things is getting buy-in from people who need it. Do you think, do you have any hopes to outreach with the officers to convince them to utilize it?
We think we're going to, yes, I think it's another great question. Now these things start with the ability, one of the abilities this app has is that the chief can go on at any time and do a short, quick video. So he's going to present this thing to the entire department when we're ready to roll this thing out. He'll do a short video talking about it, talking about the anonymity of it, because that's going to be our obstacle to overcome. Officers need to know that this thing is anonymous, that we're not tracking who's using it. Beyond that, Council, we also have our entire peer support that have already made inroads to all the officers when they're involved in an officer of off shooting or something else. They're all going to be listed right on this app, and those folks, as soon as they saw it within the first presentation, were completely bought on this thing. So they're going to all be going out there talking to officers about using it. Because instead of having to try to remember someone's number when you're going through an issue, they just have to pick up their phone and decide which peer support person they're going to check with, chaplain or therapist. So we're going to push this hard because again, we do very little for the neck up, and it's critical that we do make sure that the officers are okay from the neck up. And I will send you what I'll do is send you the info right from Cordico that shows testimonials and data and everything else that comes with it. I'll send it to you when we're done here.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks, Chief. I think this is really, I'm obviously I don't know as much about police work as you do, but from what I've heard, this is, a smart way to really help support the force in a simple way of just, refreshing the mental and trying to provide them some guidance out of these stressful situations. So it really sounds like a great initiative. I'm happy to hear about it.
Thank you.
Chief Cecil, was this the same app that we talked about during our wellness committee meeting?
Yes, it was, Counselor. Same one.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, just refresh my recollection a little bit here. Now, did we say before that follow up on Councilor Driscoll's point? Did we say before that some city out there is using it? Is any city using it?
Yes, there's cities all across the country that are using it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Would it be possible to maybe reach out to the police department, besides just testimonial writing, just see the data as in terms of the percentage of officers using it, and maybe how the department was able to encourage officers to use it, the strategies and stuff like that, and the receptiveness of officers to it. Would it be possible to have something like that in addition to what Councilor Driscoll has just requested?
It's absolutely possible. Yep. I just don't know if I can turn around on that, but I have spoken to a couple of chiefs already, and is one of the things that impressed me once again about this app. What we always do whenever we try for something new is we ask them for contact information of people that are already using it. Within a second, he had sent me 10 contacts from rather large cities, folks that were using it. So, and I've reached out to a couple of them. I just don't know the turnaround of actually getting that data back from them. One thing that I have heard from them, and keep in mind, this Cordico thing is a relatively new app. I think it's been in existence a little over a year and a half. What the chiefs were saying is they know people are using it. They can see the data using it, but what they are seeing in just that short amount of time, again, are fewer people going down sick or injured and different things like that, which is key. It not only saves money, but it's best for if morale is up and people are coming in and they're not going out sick. It's best for everyone if that's happening. But again, short answer to your question, I can reach out to them. I just don't know if I can get that turnaround before you get ready to vote on this thing.
Yeah.
I could try.
Do your best and keep us updated. Now I think if I will concur with Council Driscoll by saying that this is a great app, and we got to be able to take better care of our officers as they take care of us. So I really appreciate this. Now, which lead me to my next question: what have we used to actually track something like track wellness for officers in the past besides this one? Has there been any strategies and mechanics and a way to make sure that we were keeping up with the officers' health?
Sure. We've always had for probably about 5 years now, we've had a very robust, a very robust peer support system. We have posters all over the building. We have 8 or 9 officers that are part of the peer support. Their names and numbers are on there. And officers are, aware of who every one of them are. They reach out to them when they're going through crisis. So that peer support system has always been in there. But even the head of that, which is Lieutenant Belgrader, when he saw this app, he said, folks that are going through a crisis might not remember what the number is or who to call. So this app will put that, even the peer support on that phone right at their hands, right at their fingertips. Beyond that, we are always pushing the EAP, the Employees Assistance Program, and everything else we can to let the officers know that there's avenues out there if they're going through a crisis.
Now, has there been like a data on stuff like that? EPA, have EPA been able to get back to you and with those numbers in terms of how reporting of stressful situation is for the officers and stuff like that? Is there anything like that we can see?
Yeah, the counselor, obviously they're very tight with the information because it's HIPAA and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So we hear from them as far as numbers, just raw numbers.
Okay.
But we would never hear what the officer's calling about or who they are.
Okay. What raw numbers? Is there a way what I'm trying to go with this, Chief, is I'm trying to understand in terms of what our officers experience emotionally and psychologically in the street, data wise. That's where I'm trying to go with it up to this point.
Sure. No, I understand where you're going, and here's what I can say is they experience, as I mentioned, one study 188 critical incidents when most people experience 2 or 3 throughout their lives. What that results in is a suicide rate of 54% higher than the average person. You have PTSD of officers, a study that shows them 5 times more likely to experience PTSD than the average citizen. Their cardiovascular disease is just out the window when you compare it to their average citizens. Their depression rate is 12% when the average population is 6%. And I could go on and on and on. It's all based on trauma. When you experience these traumas, and I'm not going to get graphic here, but you can imagine the things they're seeing. And then, as Counselor Driscoll said, they simply move on to the next call. The brain does not recover that quickly. You need time to recover. And when you just move on to the next call and it just continues to build up, that's what creates PTSD and all these other things that occur with officers. So this app, we're hoping they will use frequently to try to alleviate some of these things. Again, to do that checkup, there's tests right on the app. I probably didn't mention that, but there's wellness checks they can take anonymously as well, just to see how they're doing each day or each hour. And they're just quick tests. They get erased after they get done. Just tell them how they're doing. Again, I forget things when I start talking about this app because there are so many things involved in it.
Okay, well, I'd be really interested to know what these apps can do. Now, I see Councilor Rudd is here. Councilor Rudd, do you want to add before we move on?
No,
You good? All right. All right. Thank you, Chief. Let's move to the last item.
Okay, the last item is, and I see Tony Borelli on here. The last item is Neighborhood Watch. I think we all know how important that is. I know Tony did an analysis several years ago, and it's probably only got higher, where he showed you were 65% more likely to be burglarized if you were in a neighborhood that did not have an active neighborhood watch. So 3/4 times more likely. That really shows the impact of neighborhood watch. I'm sure Tony would like to talk more about that if you want to ask him some questions about the things he does. That's falling under our budget. That's why it's on here.
Now, Councilor Driscoll, you want to go first if you have any?
No, I'm good.
Rod?
I'm happy to hear anything that Tony wants to present, but I don't have any questions.
Okay, Tony, please go ahead, present on the, tell us, what do you really specifically use this 65,000 on?
This, the money that we use, that is our entire budget. That is all of our technology, because while we are now moved under the city police and we have an office in City Hall Commons, we have such as of our hardware that comes out of our, we don't get any tech support from the city. The software that we use, that all of our neighborhood watch groups get crime information for, that is something that we maintain because it takes all of our neighborhood watch groups' target area and it breaks up the crime information so they know what's going on. All of our events, all of our educational materials, when we can do the National Night Law Enforcement National Night Out, it goes to that. Our Halloween watch program, that's 65,000 is the entire ball of wax from nuts to bolts. It's just everything we do for all of the neighborhood watch groups in the city. So that includes hardware, software, printing, everything.
Was this what you used last year?
As far as the numbers?
Yes, the 65,000. Was this what you used last year as well?
It is, yes. All we request is what we actually spend, so there's nothing left over at the end of the year. And that is all taken care of by an independent accountant that we use. So they take care of all of our finances. We don't actually touch any of the money.
So this, from what I'm hearing technology, computer software, and all of that. So I take there's no salary in this.
There is a salary in this, yes, sir.
Okay. So what percentage is that? Is that like 50% of it, or
Around 50, do you think? Yeah, approximately 50%, yes.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I feel like I want to see the breakdown of all of this. Is it possible, Chief, to have any of that breakdown of the 65,000?
Absolutely. I'm sure Tony has that already broken down. We can certainly get that. Yeah. Yep. You mean
Yeah.
broken down to what's paperwork, what's technology, what's salary, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Tony, I really appreciate what you and the neighborhood leaders do to make sure that our city is safe. So I really like the idea of neighborhood watch. So this is good. I want to see the numbers and all. It's just nothing more to it.
Okay. I mean, we submit it with, we have a thing that we submit when we submit our budget. So
Okay.
as far as all that stuff, so.
Okay,
Okay.
just for context, we just have a letter and it just says $65,000, so it doesn't.
That's it.
At least,
Oh, okay. So you get the cover letter.
I guess, usually they include whatever's included as well, but we only have a cover letter for this item.
That's it. Yep.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. But this is a little thing that we, when we submit our budget, that the breakdown as far as It says operational expenses, communication, educational expenses. So that's something that I prepare when I do the budget, and I can send that along very shortly.
Yeah, if you can do that before Monday, that would be great.
Oh, I can probably do it before the end of today. Yeah, because it's done. It's nothing I have to create. It's something we do when we submit our budget.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilors, are we good? Okay. So on that note, before we move away, thank you, Tony, and thank you, Chief Cecil. Before we move away, Councilor Driscoll and Councilor Rudd, I think there were items that we had discussed in the past, and I would recommend that this item plus the last item be all moved to the agenda. Is that's okay with if that's okay with both of you? I'd like to do that.
That's fine. Can you just describe what's the path for right to know at the moment? You're saying there's going to be, I'm sorry if you already said this at the beginning, but I was 10 minutes late. But you're going to have a separate meeting on that? Will that be before? Can we move that item forward for the next council?
We are working for committee for a tentative committee meetings on it next week.
When?
Councilor, sorry. I can also give you a call afterwards to discuss further if you like.
Okay.
Yeah,
can we have it before Wednesday? Are we going to have it before Wednesday so we can put it, like, I think we should have it on Monday, because by the end, the clerk to put it on the agenda, the book gets published Tuesday, the study session's on Wednesday. I think it should be on the agenda.
It should be, but the
and I mean, I personally think I can understand that the lawyer's still doing stuff for us to get it, but I just think we can move it without the details. Like, we can literally have like placeholder. I make a motion right now to move right to know forward, and we will attach the detail as it moves. Like, we're not going to pass a bill with nothing, but that way it's not caught up in committee unnecessarily.
Councilor Rudd, I want to give the committee the opportunity to have a chance. So I said before that the lawyer is looking at it, and once we get what the lawyer got for us, we will move it.
Councilor Driscoll, you don't want to move the item forward?
I personally would still like to have clarity first, about what the details are. I as well am disappointed that we haven't gotten that information back from our attorney, but he's been, yet to provide clarity on that one. So
I know, we're right where we were before. Like, I still think there's not a need for that. We know what it is. We know it's going to have we're going to insert it somehow. And why wouldn't, and worst case, we have to hold it before the whole council, but we don't have to hold it in committee. I just think it should move forward. It should be an item on the agenda, and we work with our lawyer to get it populated in a timely manner. But like other items on the agenda, it may not be wrapped up in the first time it enters the agenda, but then it's before the full council. It does not need to be before the 3 of us or the 4 of us who are in this committee.
Councilor Rudd, I think we are taking the time out of out of the agenda we need to discuss today. I just want to be frank with you. I'm not going to move this item until we are clear. I don't think it's the right way to do it. And I told you next week we will have a discussion and we'll move it. And if we move it now, what was the point of holding it back? I just don't see it.
There was no point in holding it before. We should move it now the same way we should have moved it then.
Well, that's what you think, Councilor Rudd, that there was no point to hold it back. But I think there has been a tremendous reason as to why we held it back. There's a huge reason, and I'm surprised that you don't see it until this point. But we will have a discussion next week and we'll move. will move. And I just don't want people to confuse that there's a huge will to move it here. There's power in being careful. There's power in being careful. But that being said, I want us to move these agendas. Let's move them forward. Let's have the chief of Hitman bring his agendas forward. If that's okay, let's move the police agendas to the let's move them forward. Are we good?
You move forward with you and Driscoll, it's fine. Whatever. I think we should move the other item too. It doesn't make sense we don't move them all. But
What did you say, Councilor Rod?
which are you talking about? I'm. It's fine. You move forward the items. You move forward as chair, and I think we should move the other one too. But it is what it is. We disagree.
All right. That will be that. Chief Man, are you around?
Yes, sir. Hello, Councilor Majek. Hello, everybody on the call. My first item is asking for permission to accept a grant totaling $5,000 from the Hartford Insurance Company for our Junior Fire Marshal program. And this $5,000 will be used for fire safety education efforts and programming. Does anybody have any questions with this request?
This is not a yearly thing, is it, Chief?
Most years we've gotten a grant from Hartford. Some years they gave us grants to purchase smoke detectors. Other years it's similar to this year where we're able to buy literature and other fire prevention items for the citizens of the city when we go do our fire prevention programs.
Okay. Councilor Rod and Driscoll, anything?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'll just say that any spending items are all I assume they can all leave committee. That's the way they should. But and we'll probably have a plan from the mayor before we vote, so it should work out. But if we don't have a plan on how to balance our budget, then they're all still subject to a hold by folks of the full council. But I think there will be a plan, and I think it will all be fine. So I'm fine moving them forward.
Okay.
All right.
I have one more item for this meeting, and that's to receive another grant from Onondaga County to pay for backfill and overtime for training that our hazardous materials teams participated in. So I'm just asking for the permission to receive the $10,000 to pay for overtime that we already have been trained with.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay. And I had 6 items from the meeting before. I know Councilor Rudd, I think you were just speaking about that. Some of these items are to buy equipment for our apparatus. Right now, we have our maintenance garage is full of vehicles. We don't have any spare engines at this time. If a fire truck breaks down tonight, we don't have any spare engines to. Depending on where a possibility of a break of an apparatus is, a neighborhood might not have a fire engine. We're going to just try to figure out a way to purchase our things. But those 6 items from last meeting are very critical to make sure we can stay on top of maintaining our vehicles, especially our fire trucks that pull up at fires and other emergency scenes. So I just respectfully request that. With all your support to move those forward so we can start making sure.
Those should already be on the agenda because they passed before. They were just held. So
okay.
They should already be on the agenda again.
Okay, thank you.
The same way that we could introduce right to know and just hold it. We just held those items. We could introduce it, we could move it forward, and we could hold it. Just saying.
Okay, well, thank you, councilors.
Yes, so we move the 5 items. They all go on the agenda. Is that all, Chief?
That's all I have right now. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anything else, councilors? If nothing, thank you, Councilor Rudd. Thank you, Councilor Driscoll and Chief Mann and Chief Cecil. And Tony, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Joe.
Bye-bye.
And thank you, Tony Burrell, for all you do with the Neighborhood Watch. We really appreciate you. I wanted to throw that in there.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. This letter, who should I send this to? Just Councilor Majak, or should I send it to the 3 councilors that we're on currently?
If you
Yeah,
can
I
send it to
would
all
like
of
a
us.
copy as well. If you could send it to all of us, that'd be great.
Okay, and then that'll help it move forward. No problem. I'll get that out now.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Joke, all items were good to go, all 5?
All of them, yes.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Bye-bye.